Hello there. It's your boy, Tasty Cake. So, I'm going through things and everything, and I forgot I didn't talk about the custom figures I had from Lungbarrow, the infamous Doctor Who book, which costs hundreds of dollars from the New Adventures. That's insane. But, and I didn't pay that much for the figures, I don't think. But, the story of Lungbarrow was an original Doctor Who novel written by Mark Platt as an expanded adaptation of his unproduced television story of the same name. Published in Virgin Books' New Adventures range, it was the last of the range to feature the Seventh Doctor. It is considered the final novel under any banner to feature the Seventh Doctor as the current Doctor. Although McGann's Eighth Doctor had already made his television appearance by the time the novel was published. Due to publication delay, however, an earlier commissioned novel, So Vile a Sin, also features the Seventh Doctor, was published later, although it takes place earlier than Lungbarrow in continuity. One additional Eighth Doctor novel would be published under the Virgin New Adventures banner before the series was handed over to Bernie Summerfield. Now I'm reading from Wikipedia. Or TARDIS Wiki, yeah. Or TARDIS.fandom.com, I should say. There's so many of these things, you never know. Let's see, publisher summary, Nonsense Child, retorted the Doctor. Grandfather, indeed, I've never seen you before in my life. All is not well in Gallifrey. Chris Swedge has having someone else's nightmares. Ace is talking to herself, so is K9. Leela has stumbled on a murderous family conspiracy, and the beleaguered Lady President, Romana, foresees one of the most tumultuous events in her planet's history. At the root of all is an ancient and terrible place, the House of Lungbarrow, in the southern mountains of Gallifrey. Something momentous is happening there, but the house has inexplicably gone missing. 673 years ago, the Doctor left his family in that forgotten house, abandoned, disgraced, and resentful. They have waited, and now he's home at last. In this Seventh Doctor's final new adventure, he faces a threat that could uncover the greatest secret of them all. Now, the idea of this was for, being the last one before the TV movie, Romana sends the Seventh Doctor to retrieve the remains of the Master. In this story, it does have, Ace, Romana, K9 Mark 1, K9 Mark 2, and Leela. It also has, on the front cover, he's in a canoe going with the man steering the boat, Badger. Ooh, Badger. Now, Badger was an Avantaroid which Quinces gave the Doctor when he was a child. It acted as his tutor, protector, and friend. Okay, so he took care of the Doctor. Badger came with the rest of his race to Gallifrey seeking time travel. They were told that their home planet would be sealed behind a force field if they ever returned there. That was an approach divided loyalties. Oh, Seventh Doctor fell down. Here you go, boom. Stand, Doctor, stand. When the Doctor was a child, Quinces gave Badger to him. Pros, Lungbarrow. Quinces sent Badger to collect the Doctor from the Academy, wanting him home to celebrate others Tide and his name day. The Doctor refused and sent Badger home without him, and divided loyalties. When the Doctor was disowned by his family and left Gallifrey in his stolen TARDIS, Badger was stored away in the House of Lungbarrow. He remained in standby mode, reactivating only when the Doctor returned to Lungbarrow in his 7th incarnation. In a parallel universe where the Doctor never left Gallifrey, Badger was the robot servant of the Doctor. Audio Ald Mortality. This version of the version of the Eighth Doctor that lived in the Verse also had a version of Badger as a private nurse and school teacher. Pros, the Blue Angel. Okay. So very interesting. See, in the afterwards digital edition of Lungbarrow, Mark Platt wrote that Badger was essentially the Doctor's first companion. Mike Tucker made a maquette of Badger as a reference for cover art Fred Gambino, Doctor Who Magazine 317. So, I did look on the eBay for Lungbarrow. Whew, the lowest price is a couple $100. For a book that was $5 back in the day. I would go as far as just printing the cover, getting the cover offline and putting it in a shadow box. That would be interesting. That I like the ideas. I was thinking of shadow boxes for the pops, even though they have the boxes there. Bring up my camera again. I'm not seeing a camera. Putting, even though they're in the cases, putting the pops on display, because I saw Harry Potter Funko Pop's head, the 3 of them, in a nice shadow box and the picture in the background. It's like, which 3 Funko Pops would I put in there? Between the Professor, Tasty Cake, Thomas, and Reverend Amagon. Well, Reverend Amagon is the darkest of them. I don't know. It would most likely be the Professor, Tasty Cake, and Reverend Amagon, because those are my... Well, Professor evolved to Tasty Cake, basically. With age, he's just kind of like, give up, I don't know. I thought about that. So, a shadow box specifically for the figures, and just displaying the figures. Eventually, everything has to go for sale. So, I might do it. A nice, small size shadow box. Put the 2 figures in there. Have the cover for Lungbarrow. If I ever got the book, that thing is going to go for $1,000. The whole thing in the shadow box and the figures. Because imagine that, just getting... Well, at least $500. I'm gonna go crazy and see if I bought that book for $200. The figures, yeah, $500 for a shadow box with the 2 custom figures and the book. I could consider that. I might consider that. But definitely a shadow box with a picture in the background and enough room for the book. We'll see. Always thinking of something at the moment. I'm glad I recorded it. So, those are the custom figures. That's the storyline. The idea of spending a couple $100 on the book is nuts. But that's always a possibility. If someone wants it enough, say, well, look at these. Then again, could flop. Could just go for exactly what I paid for. We'll see. Only time will tell. So, please like, subscribe, share, comment, bring on suggestions. I'm always listening. We don't sugarcoat, we skinny dip, all that good stuff. And always remember, time waits and turns slowly.